everyone. Happy Lenten afternoon. Father Joe O'Brien from St. Mary's in Coxsackie and St. Patrick's in Ravenna. And here today with Michelle Cisak. We're going to be talking a little bit about something Michelle is doing with some folks at St. Mary's this week and at St. Patrick's next week. We have an icon workshop, and, well, better let's just leave it to you.
All right, Father.
You're all set.
I'm here from Our Lady of Victory Parish in Pennsylvania. I've been doing icons for about 15 years, writing icons. Icons are a way of prayer. They're also a window into heaven, and you can see a few of them in the background here that we've done in the past. So what we do is we get together for a week, and what I like to tell my students is if you can pray, if you can trace, and if you can color, you can write an icon, because you're doing the work of the Holy Spirit. This is God's work, so we keep that in mind as we do our icons. I have a few books on the table on the procedures to follow, some ideas on icons that you might want to write, and that the term is write. And just for a little bit of history, this icon is called Veronica's Veil. Vera from Veritas, truth. Iconos from icon, image, the true image. So our first iconographer was Jesus, who left his face on Veronica's veil. So that was one of the icons that we did a few years ago here. And Father has graciously invited me back, and I will be willing to come back anytime he would like me to come back. I can take anyone into this workshop, which is really a retreat in prayer, and work with them to go from the dark into the light. That's what we do in icons. We go from the dark into the light, just as we do in our prayer life, our spiritual life, from the dark into the light. So we have a few folks here that are working on some icons. Maybe Father would like to show them in their progress.
Go ahead.
Right, as we're working on the icons, once we get to the faces, it becomes a little tricky for some of our students. So on occasion, if you work the paint too much, you can do one of two things. You either make it very chalky looking, or you lift it off the board. So what we're going to do with this icon, we're working on the face tones, the skin tones in the face. We're going to put a little bit of rouge on Mary's face to give her a little bit more life in the color. So we take some red paint, mix it with a little bit of water, and do a very light brush over the lighter colors. And as that happens, it starts bringing out the features in the icon. So you can see it's very light. We use a little bit of paint, goes a long way. One of the things that I like to tell everybody is less is more. Less is more. Each icon consists of a number of layers of paint. And if I may, I'm going to grab something real quick. This is my instructional icon. We start out with very dark colors on the face. And from there we take a second pigment and layer lighter colors there. Then we go to a third pigment, and each time we add a pigment or layers of paint, we're not going all the way to the edge of the previous color, and we're starting to highlight the areas on the face or the skin, the hands, that would be higher elevation that stick out, like the nose, the chin, the brow ridges, tops of the ears, those things would get lighter colors until finally the final color brings out the last of the details. So this is what Karen is working on right now. She's working on Mary's face, and we're trying to brighten it up a little bit so that Mary doesn't look like she's death warmed over. So,
2, 1.
okay, and as you can see, we have one icon here of our sorrowful mother. This is Mary holding Jesus after he's been taken down from the cross. Icons are very symbolic. So if you look at Mary, she's got a lot of purple in her robe, and that is a sign of royalty. Mary is our Queen Mother, Queen of Heaven, so she would wear royal robes. We also see gold in the halos, and the gold is representative of the divine. Anything in an icon that is painted gold represents the divine. So everything in an icon is very symbolic. The colors have a lot of meaning. They're not just because we like them and they're pretty colors. You will always see Mary in a royal color. Christ, when he's alive, will also always be seen in a royal color, usually blue, red, purple. one change is after Christ's resurrection, he appears in a robe that looks white, but we never use pure white. It's just a little bit off, and with the gold halo. So again, that represents the divine and his divine nature having conquered death and rising. We have Lisa working on St. Michael the Archangel. And again, Michael will wear colors that represent the fact that he is our warrior angel, okay, and he's carrying his spear. Gold because he's a creature of the divine, so he wears a gold halo. God's light is in him. As a matter of fact, his name is Who Is Like to God. So again, we have the robes, a little bit off-white, not total white, and angelic creatures, similar to Mary and Jesus, will wear sort of royal colors. If we're depicting somebody like a Saint Joseph, or Saint Jude, one of the other saints, Saint Francis of Assisi, they would wear, in the case of religious, we would depict their habits. In the case of saints that were lay persons, they would be depicted in earthen colors, browns, greens, colors that represent the earth, that represents humanity. One other little thing that we normally do in an icon, you'll see something that will break the frame. And in this case, we have the halos of Jesus and Mary. That is the connection between earth and heaven. Heaven and earth. So you would always have something that breaks the frame so that we on earth, in our pilgrimage, are connected to our final home in heaven. And that's a little bit about how icons operate, what we use them for, and they are windows into heaven that help us pray.